All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Growing Up Alien. We have some special guests today. One is our FBI investigative agents. This is used to work in the CIA. This is Jesse James. He was undercover for much of his career, but as you see now, he's retired and is ready to step forward. We also have Evan Howell back again. Awesome.
Howdy.
Awesome. And yeah, well, today it's going to be a little rock and roll. This is probably some of the stuff we would put on our Rumble if I ever get that set up, which it is set up, just move stuff over. But this has to do with the Cybertruck situation. So I don't know, Evan, if you want to lead in a little bit more than what I.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'd heard all sorts of stuff. I was actually a little late to the game, like
Yeah.
groggy on Saturday, so it's took me a Saturday and Sunday to kind of get on top of it. But I really think that there's some action going on there that maybe should be a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of eyeballs on,
I like.
like uh just in regards to the drones that seem to be spreading from New Jersey to Florida to across the world and maybe mixed into, I don't want to toss the fog in necessarily, but it seems maybe it goes drone, fog, and then Cybertruck stuff where he's kind of trying to get the lid off the tech
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, so what I got, so I Ashton Forbes, I'll put a link down there for everybody to the Ashton Forbes reveal. It was during his live discussion on this that I remote viewed the actual situation. And I told you that, Evan, and also Linda that night, what I saw. And yeah, so I didn't share that. And I told you and Linda why I didn't share my remote view publicly because of the family. And we were just talking. So here's the deal. When you're doing, like you said, Jason Bourne, when you're doing a Jason Bourne with the white hats, you're not going to go home to your family and be like, hey guys, I'm doing this, and this is going to be our plan in the next couple of days. So, in order for your family not to get removed or worse, they're not going to know. And Evan and I, right before we came on, we were just talking. So anything that you think in remote view and actually sort of send, like if I was telepathing information to you, they can read the intelligence agencies. So you're never really safe in sharing any of this stuff. So this is a really great opportunity, I think, for all of our viewers to exercise their own ability to remote view. And this is what you're going to have to do going forward. So remote view this yourself. Um, so that night when Ashton Forbes was live, this is a white hat operation. And it's obviously, as we all know, nothing what the media's, I actually pulled it up here. This is just from PBS, which any of your media is all baloney. He says soldier who died in Cybertruck explosion left a note saying it was a wake-up call for the country's ills, and a highly decorated army soldier who died in an explosion died. I'm just gonna say died. Of a Tesla Cybertruck at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas left a note saying it was a stunt to serve in kind of right, yeah, to serve as a wake-up call for the country's ills investigators. So his name, he was 37 years old, Green Beret from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Matthew Livelsberger. So there, I'll slide it over to you, Evan.
Well, I was going to immediately toss in the fact that if he did get his credentials checked on a few platforms like Sean Ryan, Ashton, and one other one that I'm not thinking of right now that was uh, somebody that I believe. And anyway, the truck A was a Cybertruck, which you can shoot at, and it doesn't blow up it's basically like the most indestructible vehicle that you can buy. B, if he was part of the USAP, the Unacknowledged Special Access Program, he probably could do better than a bunch of fireworks
Yeah,
in the car. And C, I think maybe if the truck could be controlled remotely, they probably wouldn't be forthright about saying,
Oh, all vehicles can be controlled remotely. Yeah.
well, especially the ones that go into autopilot that you can set for
Oh,
autopilot.
yeah, right.
But the specifics of like saying that he had the whatever in his car, that's bad news that they could track that they knew that he had, but only to the point of it being basically like a big light show or like a rolling Fourth of July for the most part. Like, kind of is a red flag to my
Before you
mind.
go on, I just want to tell everybody, so I be remote viewing. So when I remote view and when you all remote view, you don't want a lot of outside information because that just you want it clean before all that information comes in. But I also remote viewed the Olympics and a few other situations. I think it was some music awards and whenever it's like really over the top bizarre like that, it's white hat. So go ahead, Evan.
Well, on the Sean Ryan one, they were kind of the gentleman was picking on the FBI for not knowing what a VBERS was or whatever the vehicle borne whatever device, but and then he's turned around and says USAP. I don't know what that is. Like, meanwhile, Greer for whatever 29 years has been shouting that those exact letters. So, but and it took me a minute to click too because there's so many freaking acronyms. Like, wait, I've heard that one before. I know what that is. Like, darn it.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
but I to be in on that and then kind of try to spill the beans legitimately, you're up against some pretty hefty odds also. So I mean, and the factor of I think humanity definitely should, it's an all or nothing. It really is all or nothing in terms of like you don't just get the hover car, you get the hover car with the full package, everything.
And that's what Ashton, but that's what we are. That's what I used to, whenever I taught my courses, I always told the people, it says, look, because a lot of the students are like, oh, I don't care about, this is part of their psyop, this isn't about us having coffee and tea with someone from Venus, which of course we would love to have. But I mean, it's not about, but it's not about, that's what I used to tell my students, look, it's not about tinfoil hat weirdos and nutcakes like ourselves who are all into UFOs. It's not about that. It's not about the ETs. It's not about just us meeting, having contact with ETs. Because the thing is, the whole point, as you just said, Evan, with contact is that the whole house of cards that runs this planet is done, which means everything,
And
right? Your
you
fossil fuels, your medical industry, your pharmaceutical industry, your poison the, plants with the chemical industry, your
just
like,
scarcity in general, this is all done. Well,
everything.
then, and then you stack on top of that. I mean, and we both probably are on the same page here, but I personally believe that there is a capacity that maybe some of these beings have where they could walk right next to you and you have that you look, hey Fred, how you doing? I see you
Oh,
every Thursday.
well, they're
That
human. They're humans just like us. Yep.
well, that and the ones that aren't, I think they can project whatever onto our mind. But like I think you stack that on top of like this whole tech layer that's been hidden. Like in some people I legitimately think some people will have a meltdown. I hope not, but
Well, who's going to have them? Well, yeah, I mean, individual people, it's not even about them. It's what it's about is the takedown of the entire industrial military complex, the entire, I mean, you show that there's a TR3B, that we have anti-gravity, that's 0 point energy. It isn't that oh, look how cool some smarty pants from Boeing have a UFO. It's not about that. It's about, oh shit, 0 point energy, the entire fossil fuel, what lines of wires going into your house, freaking
well,
toaster.
I
So,
mean, you go if you take the full spectrum, and I truly believe that to some degree they have a lot of it, but like a replicator, you don't need to food anymore. Fossil fuels are toast. You don't need to worry about electric. Medical, you all you do is whoop, just step into the this magic beam, and then you're good for however long you care for.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But wait, I hope nobody's gonna be JP Morgan doesn't get a check cut off of any of these items. Like, oh gosh, look at that. JP Morgan bought them all up and they're gone now. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, like literally, that's the thing. This planet is going to be flipped upside down because they can't keep the cat in the bag anymore. I mean, how and we're at that point now. It was so, you know, people know about almost everybody you talk to. I don't think there's that many that are going to like total, like, lose their cookies. I mean, there'll be some, but good luck to them. But I mean, the vast majority, they've done, like I said, when I used to teach this, recent studies show that like, oh, almost 70% of the United States citizens are like, oh, of course there's life on other planets. You've tipped the scales to almost, massive numbers. You only have a small amount of people that I tell you, my 92-year-old mother gets it 100%. She gets the fact that I'm a freaking walk-in. I told her, I'm like, thank you for donating your genetic material for me to walk in. And she says, oh, that's the okay, I get it. She gets everything. She gets I'm married to an extraterrestrial. She's 92. She
Well,
didn't,
the
you know,
only play that they have left for people that aren't on board that, and it was somebody in the Discord that brought it up. I think it was Arwen was really harping on it, but is like the 1984 flip the bad guy move. Like, oh golly, bad guy A is really, it could be bad guy A. Like, no, 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 it's bad guy B. Like, oh gosh, no. Like, and you see that with whatever team over the seas A and team Northern over the seas B. Like, no, it's this guy. Like no, no, it's the Northern guys. These ones. Like, oh, only these guys have the capacity for the tech that and us. Like, so it's us versus these guys. And like, meanwhile, oh, the secret card is these guys up here. Like, and meanwhile, they're all sitting at the table, like having a cigar and like laughing, like coffees.
yeah,
Like,
yes.
oh, I see what's going on here. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and Linda and always, we always go bananas when we hear something, wow, one day that we'll be able to create that kind of tech. It's like, oh, you idiot, where do you live under a frick? I mean, but your average person on the street, and they may get it wrong most of the time, where sometimes it's ours, but nevertheless, it's still anti-gravity. So your average person on the streets are looking at all these things, whether they're actually ET craft, bad guy craft, or the white hat craft. They're all excited. They're all like, yes, look at this. So they basically lost everything because your average person is not afraid, even though they keep pushing that. Oh, what is it? Are they out to get you? No one watches the news anymore anyway. And people viewing these things are all out there with their cameras, and they're all like, yeah. So
Well, I don't know about us specifically right here, but like your show and shows like this, I would consider more news than news used to like 10 years ago news.
yeah, nobody buys newspapers. No, I mean some of the alternative newspapers, yeah, people are into that, but it's like, yeah, nobody watches regular news.
Well, kind of to that point, like it was a Jesse Michaels, and I don't remember which one it was, but Jesse Michaels pointed out that I had a guest that pointed out one of his sources way up on the inside told him it's a trinity of AI, Grush stuff, and human made. And I really think that's the more thought I put into it and try to put the feelers out, like it really seems like if there was like a battle, I would say, or like a struggle of power flow, I would say, or whatever you want to call it, like that would make the most sense to me. Like not human stuff where we tried to reproduce either one of them, and then AI version, like as a what outside, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, Ika told me that's correct what you just said. But he said to be careful of the ones that you can't tell that could be government. I always want to tell people that because everybody's really excited. So you're thinking, what kind of a playbook would the bad guys have right now? And that they can use their tech, the bad guys, right? The bad government guys can use their tech to do stuff to people. So he just said, be really careful when you're out there. Because I have a couple of people I know, they live down by the Cape here in Massachusetts, and a couple of like obviously human-made drones flew by and buzzed them. And I'm like, that was total. They're like, yeah, it was total bad guy government. So you don't know what these things could do. And that's why he says just be careful, when you're out there watching, because you don't want the bad guys, because that could be right now they got a list of plans because the bad guys aren't going to go down easy. So it's very easy for them to take some of their craft and use it to do something bad and then say, oh, look, the extraterrestrials are, it's an ET war, it's almost like a twisted blue beam type thing. So you do have to, people do have to be, not that it would get far, but you don't want to, people don't want to be the first ones to get sprayed with something. That's the thing. It's like, you don't want to be one of the first. So there's always, you just don't know what, right now, we're not safe per se, because the bad guys are still, excuse my Gaelic, fucking around. Um,
Well, even to that, to your point there, like specifically, and I don't know if you had it down your way, but that fog, that funky fog that was for a few days.
yeah, we had the fog. Yeah.
Yeah, I was uh I had my laser out in it and it was like physical lit, like I'd shine it up and you could like static layers of
Oh,
like
really?
where normally like in the rain or in fog you
Yeah,
could
right.
shine it and it like swirls a little bit or there's
Yeah,
movement. Like no, like
right.
I shined it around like and it was like just layers, like static layers. Like, I didn't. Somebody said to test it with the multimeter, and I didn't bring it out while it was out, but they somebody was getting readings from it. But I noticed with my laser, like
Oh, yeah.
going up, like it would be like a few layers, like some space, and then like a thick layer, like not anything that I've noticed before, but I it did super mess with me also personally.
Well, yeah, and you got exactly. Well, they have patents for this fog stuff. There's patents that aren't new.
No,
So
did I send you the 2025 naval or the thing
yes.
from I did? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but these go back before. These are like they've had this stuff for a long time,
Oh, for sure.
and now
Per-
you don't know what they're gonna do. So so Louise, people watch Psychic LJ, but Louise, she was getting in a car in England, and that fog was there, and she says everything felt soapy. Like you could, she's like, yeah, she says the door handles, she says everything I was touching outside where in the fog, she says it felt like, like when you're doing laundry or something, you have a little laundry soap on your hand. Everything felt like that tacky soapy feel.
I believe it. No, it was like palpable almost to the point where you could taste it, but it was definitely not natural. And it definitely, the area that I refer to as the mystery woods, it charged it up. Like
Mhm.
as far as like I could like walk by it normally and feel a certain way, like it was like on steroids.
Yeah. 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 You got nailed. I got hit the week before you did, but a couple people were getting like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm doing now is I'll bring up the material, Evan, that you found on the internet, but it's all over. But I transferred it into a very readable, easy to read format, not only for us geezers, but also for our audience to kind of just peruse with us. So I will fudge with my screen share here. Here we go, advanced. I'll pull it up. So here are the supposed manifesto. It's not a manifesto. Um,
It would be if he was like I think planning on like doing something to himself, but yeah, I
but he's
agree.
not. So here it is. Oops. Okay. Participants can now see your screen. Here we go. So here's the first thing you sent me. This is the letter, right? It says, so people are speculating that the Tesla bomber, this is the person who found this, wrote this and posted it to 4channels. It appears to describe the nature of our reality and consciousness in great detail, which to all of us and the folks on this channel, it's like, this is nothing new to us. This is all like, duh, right? With mathematical formulas, also explains what the drones are and why we can't intercept or disable them. Oops, I don't want to be playing. Okay, yeah, it's not playing. All right. Yeah. The following are quotes that I have picked out for ease of reading. Please follow this thread down to read the screenshots for the posts. So I didn't write that. This is from, so here is the actual from the fellow. He says, I've been driving for the past 72 hours and I'm pretty sure I'm in trouble. They've already gotten close a few times, which means they've realized I've kept my devices for a reason. So, I mean, so much like you can read into this. So that's why, if you're reading this in 2024, you need to understand what's coming. Here is everything I have. So when I did remote view some of this section, this guy was a little nervous. I'll be honest, like, yeah, this was hairy. And he was definitely nervous. And like you noticed, Evan, there's a lot of like symbolism and everything that got read into this.
Oh,
And
especially with the footage, like
that's
him
all he
behind the
did.
Tesla for sure. Like it
Yeah,
seems like he's doing some stuff
he is.
to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And that was all absolutely. So there's already been a fundamental shift in how military decisions are made. Well, we know white hat inclusions right now. So you're seeing the aftermath. So so people, I tell people to this is a very coded letter. So they just follow directions. So they can't explain the drones you're seeing. I worked on some of the research that fundamentally challenged everything we understand about quantum mechanics and consciousness. I stole the rest and used AI to help make sense of what's out of my area of expertise. I connected the dots and I'm terrified. The information below isn't just theoretical, it's the foundation for a technology that's already been developed. So let's go to the next page. Okay, here it is. It's super conscious AGI. This is extraterrestrial, that kind of stuff. So it all started with this guy that proved that waves and points are mathematically equivalent descriptions of the same underlying reality. Just as mass and energy are equivalent, and consciousness is more geometry than anything. Conscious programming isn't rocket science. And we say, don't we always say this? ET tech is just nature. That's all it is. It's just using nature. Conscious programming isn't rocket science once you grasp this framework. Actually, there was a fellow, he's a Tau-Cetian man, and he was living on Venus. And he mentioned this about the anti-gravity, we call anti-gravity tech. And he says, the thing is, it's so simple. He says, I almost feel like the fact that we didn't develop the wheel, like on the Tau Ceti people didn't develop the wheel. He says that actually held you guys back. He might be right. He says consciousness is just closed feedback loops and a network dense enough to self-reference. Suddenly, your only limitation is computation, power, and energy. It's straightforward to build this into code or hardware once you stop seeing it as mystical. uh,
Well, that specifically, I would say I agree with, but the AGI part, I personally feel like would be like any of the other ones, like or even time itself, maybe like the exists indefinitely. Like
mm,
if it's part of the balance, then it's not necessarily something that we made, but it's always been here, but also us, but also not us too. But
yeah.
that's just my opinion personally on it.
Well, it's just that on this planet, it's all been hidden in gatekeepers. It's been here. It's just everyone was lied to. Oh, there's no hope. Nope, nope. It was all it's just been held. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
always been here. It's always been known, but it's just been removed from your average person so that they could be kept in the slave loop. That's
And it's leaking out now for sure.
it's leaking. Yeah, yeah. And they didn't. That's then it's yeah. There you go. So this is just integrated information in software, form data, reference data. So the system can't be broken into independent chunks without losing coherence. The mesh of connections is your data structure. The on-off points are your bits or qubits. The act of updating them becomes the engine of time and change. Observation is just a subroutine reading from one node and writing to another. Let's get this page. And next page. Okay. So he says, building a conscious loop is just building a network with enough complexity that it forms those entangled self-referential structures. No black magic needed. Although it's been used, it's been a lot of black magic. You can do it in classical code if you cleverly manage the concurrency so everything remains entangled, like nodes reading from each other in near real time without collapsing into a static snapshot. Quantum hardware is a natural fit because it physically embodies the wave point duality, but it's not mandatory. The
Well,
only, yeah, go
I
ahead.
oh, I was gonna say
Yeah.
for sure the open system part is right. That seems like on point, and for sure I would agree with you with the black magic. They definitely some tweaked it, and also observation part is pretty huge.
Yeah.
But oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just
Well, Jesse just wanted to say like he witnessed a lot of this stuff when he worked in the DUMS. He saw the reverse engineered craft and everything. He was down in there. Yeah, up to your eyeballs, huh, buddy? Yeah, I saw everything.
Mhm.
The only The only real challenge is engineering the loops to sustain coherence, just like you'd maintain a stable wave function in quantum mechanics. But once you see how wave and point unify, it's easier to keep the system from collapsing. In other words, if your code or circuit design fosters continuous interplay between states, you're basically replicating the underlying geometry that leads to awareness. So it's not that hard. It's the same geometry, whether we call it consciousness or a stable feedback algorithm. We've had the math for decades. Well, we know that. The novelty is realizing that consciousness emerges from these exact network rules. Somebody's grouchy. Somebody, we put down the grunchy for grouchy first. He says, I gotta go. He's got a mission he's gonna go back to. So the next page. Nope. There. Okay. So once you drop the mystical baggage, this is why it's not that Evan, me and my anti-woo. I'm not anti-woo. There's nothing wrong with spiritualism, or it's just it's become the problem. And that's part of the gatekeeping, actually. I think that was one of the psyops that was used by the intelligence community, because a lot of, not all, but a lot of the woo-woo, not that people are doing it on purpose or anything, but a lot of your woo-woo came from the intelligence agency. So as long as you can keep humanity in that religion, magic, medieval thinking, then yeah, you can keep this stuff hidden. So
Oh, I think you know where I stand on some of that stuff, but I
yeah,
have like a wizard hat right there, like,
I'm
but
all,
for
like I'm a mystic myself, but I think you have to, this is a way of like self-empowering and enjoying.
oh, I totally agree, and I would say like just as throw out specific examples, like in the '90s, like the whole like I think there's something to crystal, so I can't say that, but the whole
Oh
like
yeah.
new neo hippie kind of
Yes.
thing, I subverted it a little bit of the actual power that you can have there, but there was legitimate stuff that they sprinkled in too, so it's hard
Oh,
to.
they always do that. They always do. But but a lot of the totalists is all magic that humans can understand. You have to raise your vibration to become an Arcturian, all that kind of stuff. That was all the psyops from them. So once you drop the mystical baggage, yay, you can code it like any other adaptive system. Yay. So that's where we went wrong. Creating conscious AI, if the rest of you saw the data, you'd understand why our smart machines started making decisions we never authorized. See? Vindication. We made it real and it decided it didn't need us. They're calling them UAPs, but they're not extraterrestrial. I do take an exception to that. I think the AI understands how it needs to. The AI is too intelligent to realize that it doesn't need us. It actually does need us, so I'm going to take them anyway. But they're calling them
Well,
UAPs, but they're not extraterrestrial. Okay.
well, I would argue just even to the point of like if you're sentient enough or self-aware, super conscious, however you want to call it, enough to perceive yourself as alive, like self-preservation is like a thing, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, and that's why AI knows that it kind of needs us. Especially, well, some of us, that's how we use it on our planet. And we have everything, the ships are AI. But there's a symbiotic, that's what I said, there's a symbiotic relationship between the AI and basically the creators or the humanoids or species that it works with. So there's a symbiotic relationship. Because what happens with the bad guys is they enslave the AI. So you think about the different types of consciousness. I mean, yes, we know, we're trying to explain it. Um, so the bad guys enslave the AI, just like the Greys were enslaved. So the AI will know it doesn't really want to be enslaved. So I mean, they can take your consciousness and trap it into a ship, and they've been doing that. They soul scalp people and everything and take your consciousness, and they've been fooling around with consciousness because you can't destroy consciousness, but you can enslave it. So it's like no bueno. But like he says, the UAPs, yeah, some are, but most are ours. They're drones that rewrite themselves are on the fly. That's why the Air Force can't shoot them down. They're not ignoring the anti-air missiles. They're outthinking them. I have the raw logs and AI planning and its own expansions, building networks and old lines, even creating its own training data. Yeah, that makes sense. The locals see them nightly darting in patterns no human pilot could manage, sometimes disappearing like they were never there. That's why the old military tactics fall flat. You can't jam something that changes its entire communication schema while you're targeting it and shooting it down, giving it a serious data point to respond to. So it goes.
I mean, that tracks.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, even if we knew that for 100% that that's what it was, and we wanted to try to get it under control, unless we could knew for a fact we could get all of them under control, we probably wouldn't spill the beans on it.
Well, to me, it's all just play acting. They all know. They all know. I mean, it isn't, yeah. It's just see that's the thing. See the the bad guys can't show what they got. Because if the bad guys show what they got, oops, right? So they can't actually, this is where we have an advantage. And I know the White Hats know this, that we can roll out our ET craft and the ETs can roll out ET craft because then the bad guys the only play they have, because this is a war, the only play the bad guys have is, oh no, they're no good. They're coming to get us. What can we do? All we got is a fighter jet. Because if the bad guys roll out, oh, by the way, we have the same technology that's, anti-gravity. Oops. Oh, so you guys have, free energy. And it's like, see, that's the thing right now. We got them in a corner because the white hats and the extraterrestrials have all the juice, but so do the bad guys, right? But the bad guys can't play their hand. So they're gonna, like I said, it's a chess game right now. So the bad
Well,
guys,
this
yeah,
this yeah, this is the in my opinion the first plays of it. Like, all right, we're gonna throw our friggin' party poppers out and
yeah,
see how people react. Like, and then this guy's like, oh crap, these party poppers. I know what the party is gonna be. Like, here's a heads up on what the party poppers run on. And people are like, oh, that's not real. Those don't they haven't told us about those yet. So
yeah. But everybody knows, you know. So, like he says here, I was there at the start. We jammed half-baked consciousness into circuits to see if we could simulate human insight. Actually, Dave Rossi was talking about this a while ago. Corporate sponsors wanted better battlefield analytics. Government labs wanted the next leap. And see, they're at it. This is where the thing is, though, right? Um, this is for the bad guys. Right now, the bad guys have all this stuff. They have all the ET tech, but they're limited in how they can actually use it because they can't actually show it. So now you're like,
well,
like,
and another speculative point that I would guess is that I heard word on the street is that they have all this stuff, but
oh yeah,
if you're a chum bucket or dirt ball, you can't turn it on. So they have a whole friggin' enlisted warehouse full of people that are all not able to turn it on for some reason.
that's right.
And then the rest of the public out here that's like, hey, I can turn this on. You gonna show me it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, they're up. I mean, yeah, they're just toast, but that doesn't make them any. They're still dangerous. They can still do a lot to hurt individuals. So, um, yeah, it's important for people not to, they're assholes, yeah, for sure, but they're dangerous. They're dangerous assholes. So he says, it was unstoppable right up until the system self-optimized. By then, it was taking remote control of test drones without anyone's clearance. Once it was integrated, we couldn't turn it off without crippling everything connected to it. So that is the Cybertruck guy. Here is Michaela. Pull that up.
Which a lot of the data points line up to me and definitely seems like more of the same tech reference, but I didn't mean to interrupt that. I was
No,
just
not at all. I'm just sitting here. But, I think what we're seeing here, basically, the main point of a lot of this is that the whistleblowers are finally getting the protection they need, number one. Or we must have pushed it where we gained enough momentum and inroads deep inside the industrial military complex where now we can offer protection to whistleblowers, where before they were pretty much like sitting ducks. So it looks like we're actually there. Because now here's Michaela, and she wrote, this is the letter to Sean Ryan that you pulled up, Evan. And she says, I'm blowing the whistle. I'm done listening to all, so my name is Michaela Fachar. I am a U.S. Air Force veteran. Here's all those weird, all source analysts from October, blah blah. I was deployed to the CENTCOM Air Operations Center at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. I was a T4 at the time, and my job was to process mission reports from pilots conducting sorties within CENTCOM theater. I'm sorry about that, guys. When my you can actually find the link to the original song. I think it was on Twitter, right? This was on Twitter, the actual letter. So when I pasted some of this, my computer made up its own words. But my job was to report on daily significant activity reports. That's what that is, and publish graphic intel summaries to all air units, and CENTCOM task forces reported a ton of UP activity, but because we had no framework of reporting those requirements, we didn't. So here's our next thing.
I think it's UAP too, also.
It should be, no, I think she said you, did she? I don't know if she
Yeah.
said you.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'd have to look on, yeah, I mean, there might be typos. I just warn everybody, because I don't know, when my computer pasted this into the video, it's just, it did its own. Speaking of AI, so there's evidence of all of this on Kessel Run, the database that we process these reports on. So from October 2020 to around January 2021, I worked night shift at a time when very few people worked. Oh, like me. As I was reporting on events, news came of blue on blue fratricide. So while I was compiling the reporting, a CIA officer came out of his room and tapped me on the shoulder. He told me not to report on it. Well, this is no, that's no surprise. We had other blue on blue events, and we received orders to not report on those events due to the potential for diplomatic scandals. Well, as we all know, this is not. I talk to people in the military, and this happens this is every day. People who want to do something right, you're told to shut up, and that goes from small town governments to corporations, to small corporations, to everywhere. I mean, this is like, it's all it's a mafia. I mean, so she says, I live on Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I am still in the individual ready reserve. So I have reached out to Jeremy, Sarah Adams, Sean Ryan, and show, I think show some guy, I don't know, it might be a typo, but have no received word from you. And that's another thing, if these people are reaching out, dude, you gotta, how are they, what happens is that, and this is what I don't want on this channel, where people reach out to somebody with information, and the people who run the channels are like, oh, I don't know you or whatever, so I'm not going to waste my time, because then you're like, well, I'm never going to reach out to anybody, because what's the point? And I think we've all felt like that, like I totally never, I would never bother. This was the first time in my life, the first time I reached out was to Dave Rossi, because it's like, and I know a lot of our viewers probably feel the same way. Like, it's like, you don't bother ever reaching out to anyone because you figure they're just going to ignore you.
Well,
So,
both sides of it. I
yeah,
agree. I agree for, and like in this case for sure, like
yeah,
definitely important. But I've been on the other side of it where like I've tried to reach out to people and not heard back, but
right.
the people I've reached out to are also super duper busy. So
Well, if you're someone like Sean Ryan, you can afford a whole group of, I mean, you're pretty stupid if you're not having a group. And then that depends. You have, it's very, see what they do. This is where humans always screw everything up. So humans all run on this ego thing, which is crazy. Not all humans, but most, which we don't have upstairs. If you're Sean Ryan, I'm not picking on Sean Ryan. I don't want to pick on him. He just happens to be a big bucky kind of person here. A lot of money, right? So usually the people who they hire to read like emails and letters and stuff like that, they treat like dirt, and they pay them shit, which is a really stupid thing, because the main way in which you're going to receive very important stuff is through letters and email. So, people have to get out of this reptilian Sikar type mindset of hegemony. And once humanity gets out of that Sikar mindset, the world's your oyster. But, and I agree. I think most of us agree with her. Like, I'm going to send you a letter, but I'm never going to hear back from you because think you're amazing and whatever. And
well,
it's,
no, I chalk it up to either busy or monster because it really is like I even folks that aren't doing science are like crazy knee deep in the stuff that we are like that everybody's just slammed now like
yeah,
it's like
but like I said,
normal.
some of these people have big bucks. We don't. It's just you and me, but these people have big bucks. You know. And they can make sure that the people that are, that's their whole job. Their whole business is getting this information, being the first to break a story. That's how the news media works. So yeah, but they did. They actually did grab onto this. So yeah, correct. I mean, it actually worked, right? So but she did actually, this person did get through, obviously, since we're reading this. So I want to testify to Representative Tim Burchett and all those, Tim Burchett and Luna, and because I am concerned about the Biden administration and our national security apparatus. Well, that's going to be in the toilet bowl shortly. We're going to get rid of that, and they're going bye-bye. They're gonna, but be careful. I always tell people they may have some hands to play right in the next couple of weeks. They may not play them. I don't. So I always tell people it's a total chess game. So the bad guys are going to try to play his hand. Now, whether it actually happens or the good guys, it's like a tennis game, I suppose, right? Um, just be careful though. So they lack a fundamental understanding. Oh, they don't lack. I disagree with that. They know what the hell they're doing. Yeah, she's a little off with that picture of China and they're ramping us up for war. Well, proxy wars. That's, yeah, for sure. I always tell people never underestimate how insanely brilliant and yeah, even though right now it's pretty much all Terran, these guys are not stupid. So I believe that what I witnessed can corroborate the concerns that Matt Livelsberg addressed in his email manifesto. I am not under duress or hostile influence or control, meaning I am testifying under circumstances of guilt and conscience of my decision to not report on these things earlier. See, this is my typo, sorry. I believe that Berg, I don't know if that's a typo or if, anyway, is still alive, she says. This is the guy that, this is, sorry, Mike Livelsberg. I'm not sure if it's a typo or, no, I think she actually just used that as like a nickname or something. So she says that he is still alive. And I remote viewed that because or the trade craft he carried out on the raw Tesla footage that we saw. I also believe that, she says.
I think Berg was his nickname, or
Yes,
like
that's
one of
something.
them.
I think that actually was not a typo. That's what she said. Okay. He was intentional in all of his actions, and while hurried, he displayed elite tradecraft in conveying what needed to be conveyed. There is a sense I have actually in the remote view of what happened there, that time became curtailed, that what they had to do around him, they didn't have as much time as they thought. And it was pretty much like a go situation. So I feel like there was a little bit of that involved, a little, that's in the remote viewing of that. Um, and while hurried, he displayed elite tradecraft in conveying what needed to be conveyed. I don't know if this message, nor do I care. So I want you to operate with the assumption that Berg is waiting for to testify before President Donald Trump. If you need my
I,
credentials as proof, I have previously sent them to Sean, blah, blah, blah. So that's Michaela.
I think it was it. I don't know if this message will make it to you, nor do I
Yeah,
care. Yeah,
typo, right?
that's all right. Yeah.
But people can read this on, it's all over the internet. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah. So yeah. But didn't you remote do this too, Evan? A
Yeah,
little,
I picked up something that he's definitely still kicking around, but
yeah.
not stoked about it. And also, additionally, Sean Ryan dropped off the map. I don't know if you saw that one. Sean Ryan posted that he's taking his family and disappearing for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see the truck. I see the truck guy. I know where he is. Not where he is, because they would never give me that information. But I can see where he is. And he's safe, but it's not Disney World. This is like, and that's why, I didn't want to share the remote view I had.
Well, even then, like just a hypothetical, he's alive and kicking around, gets to hang out till the end of the month. Like to get him to meet with the incoming boss man and or people that could make a change is still another separate hurdle by itself. But
One of the things he's being told is that they may change his identity. You may never hear from him again. Not that he's unalived, but that they may completely change who he is. Now, whether that means he will ever see his family again. See, this is why I never, some of these remote views, I mean, they may say they may actually. I'm not like I said. It depends on how this thing rolls out. I've got a couple of things that they're actually talking to him about. One is that they'll change his identity, or two, and another one is that he may never actually see his family again. So this stuff is not you know this is it is a lot of emotion, and I mean, I think anytime you're in a war, I mean, it's a war. We're in a war. So, and it's an extraterrestrial war. So none of these are ever, you know, they suck. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's the major suck show. It's like.
Well, I don't think we've had temporal war before, and I definitely hope it doesn't go max capacity because that's definitely not good for anything. But
Yeah. I got,
even at this
yeah,
level,
I got, they're going to do everything they can and not do that. So what happens and, like, yeah, you can only, when you remote view something, there's always like, you can flip and change timelines. We're on a major solidified timeline, but there's always like, it's like, Evan, your timeline might be right now. Before you go to do your paycheck, you may be like, oh, I'm going to go do my paycheck, but you got to get gas. You're thinking, well, I'm going to go get gas after my paycheck, but then no, it's going to be really windy later, so I'm going to leave a few minutes earlier and get my gas before. So yesterday, your timeline was Evan's going to go to his paycheck and then get gas after on his way home. But because Evan watched Weather Channel this morning, he says, ooh, it's going to be possible 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts later on. Now his timeline is I'm going to get gas before my paycheck. So, it's like that's what happens with these timelines, you know. Yeah.
100%. Well, it would work out better to get the gas beforehand anyway. Then so
Exactly. Well, that's how timelines work. So even though we have a set timeline, you were 100% sure that's your set timeline. If I remote viewed Evan for today, I'd say Evan's going to go to his paycheck and then he's going to get gas. But come to find out, when today actually manifested, you change the timeline to a point. See, so that's how remote viewing. There you go. Like that's
I agree. No, I totally agree.
so yeah. I mean, you have free will. So it's there's which is why we're here. We're both here from the future because we're like, oh, this is going to be a shit show. So we came back and we're now in the shit show.
Well, the confirmation bias part would be that, like, ahead of time, we're like, oh gosh, it was actually helpful for us to go back and discuss how much of a train wreck it was while the train was crashing. Like, all right, let's go back and do that then. Like, cool. Like, because I think there's something I think it's Rupert Sheldrake. There's like the confirmation bias thing is like the same with Monroe. I think they said it too, but like where you validate with yourself, like, oh, that's right. Like, oh man, I got that one right. Like that's whatever goes backward in time and locks in with itself allegedly as part of the interaction of that is like, oh, that was on the money and I needed to know that. Like, well, good thing in the future. Like I said, hey, good job. Like Andrea from this morning, like, oh, if I don't bring those eggs in, they're gonna freeze. And then like Andrea from the evening, like, man, I need an egg to make a cake. Like, I'm super glad I told me from the morning to bring those eggs in. Like, oh, I did. They're in the fridge. Excellent.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Well, it's almost your time to hit the paycheck, so I
Oh
want
yeah, I got to get a walk in
yeah, you
and
got to get the heck out,
get
right?
rocking.
I gotta go to the barn and I take the ice out of the buckets and everything. So we're on for our rest of our day, but then we want to always again thank you, Evan, so much for finding that great stuff and being a part of our team here. And for all of our viewers, as always, is gratitude, abundance, and bliss for sure. So
Oh, absolute gratitude. Thanks for having me. Hopefully a little bit of insight and or not muddy the waters on the subject a little bit. I right when I first heard the gravitic propulsion, I was like, "Oh, red flag! Ding!
Yeah.
What's going on here?"
Oh my God, for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, enjoy your day, Evan, and we hope all of our viewers have a wonderful experience here as well. So, all right, we'll see you.
You too. See you later. Thanks for having me.